Good afternoon and welcome. For those of you whom I haven't met in person, I am Susie Rose, the Senior Vice Dean for Medical Education here at the Perelman School of Medicine at the University of Pennsylvania. And it is my very special privilege to welcome you this afternoon to celebrate the life of Elizabeth Kirk Rose, the wonderful tradition of women in medicine, and to formally recognize two individuals from our Penn medicine community whose passion and work have had a profound impact on the field of medicine. In 1918, Dr. Gladys Girardot and Alberta Pelz became the first women awarded the Doctor of Medicine degree from the School of Medicine at the University of Pennsylvania. And until the 1980s, you could count on the fingers of both hands the number of women who graduated in any given class. Currently, the School of Medicine has 778 medical students in all 4 years, and 389 identify as women. This statistic deserves a round of applause. In 1962, Dr. Rose and then medical student Kathy Papanuak had the vision to start the Women in Medicine program. Faculty and students gathered at a picnic to encourage and to support each other. As a champion for women in medicine, Dr. Rose touched many lives during her remarkable 106 years. But one thing has remained constant. In her words, students still want to hear about what it's like out there. They want the reassurance from us older ones that they'll be all right. And that is what women in medicine is all about. Thanks to Dr. Rose's inspiration, the support of our alumni, and their own entrepreneurism, our female medical students formed a new group on campus 7 years ago called the Elizabeth Blackwell Society. This group holds regular discussions with Penn Medicine alumni and faculty with the goal of inspiring, empowering, and connecting women physicians and medical students. The Elizabeth Blackwell Society has played an integral role in helping plan today's event in conjunction with the Alumni Development and Alumni Relations Office, as well as FOCUS, a very important program at the School of Medicine, which aims to improve the advancement and the leadership of women faculty and to promote women's health research. This year marks the 57th anniversary of the annual Women in Medicine event. The Elizabeth Kirk Rose Class of '26 Women in Medicine Award was established in 2012 to recognize the extraordinary record of commitment and contributions to advancing the education and the careers of women in medicine by alumna, faculty, or a staff member. This year's Women in Medicine Award recipients are Drs. Liebe Diamond and Helene Gayle. Let me first tell you about Dr. Diamond. The late Dr. Liebe Sokol Diamond was an internationally acclaimed pediatric orthopedic surgeon with an emphasis on hand and limb deformities. She herself was born with constriction ring syndrome, a rare condition that resulted in the loss of several of her fingers and toes in utero. Treatment in childhood and overcoming personal physical challenges prompted her future career path, along with many surgeries as a young child and adolescent. Liebe earned her bachelor's degree from Smith College with a major in chemistry and a double minor in physics and zoology. She earned her medical degree at Penn in 1955. Then she completed a pediatrics internship and surgical residency at Sinai Hospital in Baltimore. She returned to Penn to complete her residency as chief resident in orthopedic surgery in 1960. So imagine this. Liebe was the first female orthopedic surgeon at the hospital of the University of Pennsylvania and only the 14th woman in the nation to be certified by the American Board of Orthopedic Surgery. Her teaching positions included assistant professor in orthopedic surgery here at Penn and professor in orthopedic surgery and clinical associate professor of pediatrics at the University of Maryland. Dr. Diamond died on May 17, 2017. I watched a video with an interview with Dr. Diamond. I can say it was not only interesting, but it was completely inspirational in the challenges that Dr. Diamond overcame, both in terms of her gender and her disability. I would like to recognize Dr. Diamond's cousins, Dr. Robert Cohen, an alum, who is here representing the family. Thank you so much for being with us today. We would also like to thank the Diamond family for a very special gift to the school. During her career, Liebe Diamond had custom surgical gloves made which enabled her to practice surgery safely. The Diamond family has generously gifted the school with a pair of Dr. Diamond's glove molds. Dr. Scott Levin, chair of the Department of Orthopedic Surgery here at Penn, has accepted the gift on behalf of the school. And we appreciate this gift, and I understand that the molds arrived today. So thank you so much. For all of these accomplishments and for her role at Penn Medicine, we recognize Dr. Liebe Sokol Diamond today with this certificate here. Please join me in congratulating Dr. Diamond and her family. I now turn to our second honoree of the day, Dr. Helene Gayle. Dr. Gayle is president and CEO of the Chicago Community Trust, one of the nation's oldest and largest community foundations. Before coming to the trust, Dr. Gayle held a number of highly regarded leadership roles in health and global development, including the Centers for Disease Control, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and the international humanitarian organization CARE. Dr. Gayle was a member of the Penn Medicine Board of Trustees from 2002 to 2011. She has authored numerous articles on global and domestic public health issues, poverty alleviation, gender equality, and social justice. Dr. Gayle was born and raised in Buffalo, New York. She earned a BA in psychology at Barnard College of Columbia University, an MD from the University of Pennsylvania, and an MPH from Johns Hopkins University. She has received many honorary degrees and numerous prestigious awards. I had the opportunity to visit Dr. Gayle in her offices a few months back when I was in Chicago, and I learned that the work of the Trust is so impactful. Dr. Gayle works with donors, nonprofits, community leaders, and residents of Chicago to lead and to inspire philanthropic efforts to improve the quality of life for the residents of Chicago and the area around Chicago. She is truly making a difference. I would like to welcome Dr. Helene Gayle to the stage to accept this certificate.
It's all right. Well, first, thank you so much. It's a bit overwhelming to be here, and it was so wonderful to hear about the career of Dr. Diamond. She received her medical degree the same year I was born, so I kind of feel like there's this wonderful sort of baton toss, if you will, and the fact that she also started out in pediatrics as I did. And so I feel very, very honored to be here and to share this with her and posthumously, but with her family. It's also just wonderful to be back at Penn. It is not the Penn that I knew when I was in medical school. And, this is an incredible facility, and really, I think, speaks to the relevance that Penn has in the world, the relevance that Penn Med has in the world. But things are so different. It's wonderful to be able to be here with a couple of my friends, the Hamilton sisters, who were here when I was in medical school. Gail Morrison, who is kind of one of those people who is here and part of our history is so wonderful. I was thinking, though, as Susie was talking, how things have changed. When I was in medical school, we had professors who were still smoking in lecture rooms. You know, if you can imagine that to where we are today. But the other thing that being at the school that you had the privilege to be a part of and then having an honor, an award like this, makes you really grateful for what this school gave me, and I hope what this school is giving so many of you. And, you know, I just feel incredibly humbled and grateful to have a degree from Penn Med and what it has allowed me to do with my career and the way in which having this kind of foundation that makes you believe that you can do anything you want to do and what that means for how you live your life and live your career. I've had kind of an atypical career. Started out as a pediatrician, and now I'm heading a community foundation, and done a whole bunch of things in between. But as I was saying to some of the young women that I spoke to, you know, what I always hoped that I had was an overarching guiding philosophy and an idea of, generally speaking, what was it that I thought was my mission in life and my calling. I always knew that I wanted to have a career that allowed me to make a tangible contribution to society, to give back. I grew up in a home where giving back was part of who we were, part of what my parents expected of us. I also grew up at a time when there was a lot of social change going on, the civil rights movement, women's movement, anti-apartheid, liberation struggles in Africa, all of these things that made me realize that social change is possible and that you can be part of something bigger than yourself. And so when I went to into medicine, soon as I was going through my training, I soon started realizing that while I thought the practice of medicine was wonderful and gratifying, again, one of the questions one of the students asked me, did I mind the fact that the things that I work on now are long-term versus getting that immediate gratification from patients? And, you know, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed parents feeling like I had made a huge difference in the life of their children. But I also realized that oftentimes the children who were coming in and out of my clinic, I was addressing the consequences, but not the causes. And I wanted to find a way that I could have an impact that actually looked at attacking some of the root causes that led to the reason why some children came in repeatedly and needed a medical home but didn't find one, but also needed access to quality education, needed the ability to have nutritious food, needed to have a home that didn't have asbestos or lead, et cetera. And so I started thinking about how could I have an impact on a broad range of issues and thought about public health. That led me to a career at the Centers for Disease Control, where I spent a large part of my time focusing on HIV and AIDS, both globally as well as domestically. That then took me to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, where I worked on issues of global health. But even then, realizing that a lot of times the things that we have in our health toolkit don't actually attack what we now call the social determinants of health. And I got much more involved in looking at what are those things outside of our health toolkit that can actually have an impact on health, but much broader than that, and attack those root causes. It led me to the organization CARE that focuses on global poverty around the world, and then led me to where I am today, looking at those same sort of issues, but at a local level. All of that to say that I think, you know, sitting here today, where many of you are, there's no way of knowing for sure where you will end up in your career. But I think having that sense of what makes you tick, what's your passion, and what's kind of your guiding philosophy, and it will be amazing where your career can go and the things that you can focus on. I want to step back and say a little bit about some of the things that I'm involved in, and it really, you know, came from this framing of health and health inequity, and how do we actually look at the issues of of the disparities that we see here in this country and also around the world. You know, we spend more on health care in this country than any other nation around the world, somewhere in the range of $3 trillion, 1/6 of our overall economy. But we have the most unequal health care in the world when you compare it to our same industrialized peers. So we have the worst return on our investment of any comparable nation in the world. We have the highest rates of preventable diseases. And for the last 3 years, we've seen life expectancy decrease. We're the only industrialized nation where we've seen that. And we know that the causes are largely causes that are impacting younger populations, whether it's the opioid epidemic, suicide, obesity, et cetera. But we know that there's so many things that we could have an impact on in this incredibly expensive healthcare system that we have that could make a difference. We know that if you look at health and health outcomes, only 10 to 20% of health outcomes are actually attributable to health care. Now, that doesn't mean we shouldn't continue to have the finest health care in the world, which we do. But it does mean that the 90 to 80% of what actually impacts health outcomes, we should also make sure that we're focused on. And I think that, you know, in the city that I live in Chicago, where we have a life expectancy gap of 30 years, you can live in the downtown Chicago and live to 90, so you actually live better, your life expectancy is better if you happen to be well-educated, white, and affluent. If you live in other parts of the city, your life expectancy is 60 years of age. So zip code is definitely destiny, not only in Chicago, but in many places around the world. And in a nation as wealthy as we are, it is unacceptable to have those kind of gaps existing, to have that kind of determinant based on where you live and who you are. So, you know, I think that all of us, as we that have chosen health as our career, there's a lot we can do no matter where we are. Some of you will go into research. Some of you will invent new drugs. Some of you will be clinicians. Some of you may go into public health or public policy. But I hope all of us will remember that we have a lot that we can do within our medical toolbox, but also as we think about our roles as citizens in this world and our ability to make sure that we don't have these kinds of inexcusable gaps in a country that is as rich as ours is, and that there are many ways in your civic life, in your professional life, as you go about world, being aware of these issues and making sure that all of us are contributing wherever we can to making this the most just, the most equal, and the most fair world and society that we can be in. And you know, I think all of us, if we can do our own part wherever we sit, we will in the next decade be looking at life expectancies that continue to rise, health disparities, gaps that continue to close, and the ability for us to say we actually get the best return on our investment because we're thinking broadly about what health beyond just health care and how we look at that continuum and use all of the expertise that we have to make a difference for everybody to live a healthy, productive, and equal life. So again, it is my immense pleasure, honor to be here with all of you today, and I look forward to continuing to come to Penn from time to time, continuing to see it flourish, and continuing to see people making such huge contributions here to our nation and to our society more broadly. So thank you.
Wow, thank you, Dr. Gayle, for sharing your thoughts, your journey, and inspiring us. Congratulations to you and to Dr. Diamond on this very prestigious award. Please join me in congratulating our awardees. So before we close, I'd like to extend a word of gratitude and deep appreciation to the Alumni Development and Alumni Relations Group who work tirelessly to support our various celebrations in the Perelman School of Medicine. And a special shout out to Caitlin Atkins. Caitlin, where are you? There you are, for your outstanding work in helping to prepare everything for this event. It's much appreciated. Thank you so much. So I invite you all to enjoy dessert and coffee. I encourage each of you to network at your tables, and you can leave your tables and wander, collect information, and continue the conversation as our luncheon continues. That's what this is all about: collaborating, mentoring, supporting, and sponsoring each other. Thank you so much, and have a great afternoon.